when I have a most rapt audience with my friends are kind of like my very dating stories here in San Francisco, honestly. Okay. Especially some of my friends now who have been married for a while, and they're like, I like to live vicariously through you.
That was Myla Ablog, a wetlands biologist. I'm Jeff, and this is Storied San Francisco. Welcome to episode 21, part 1. Originally from Stockton, Myla did her undergrad at Humboldt State, but she always had her heart set on living in San Francisco. In this podcast, Myla will talk about dating in San Francisco in the late 90s and early 2000s. Here's Myla.
I was a super shy girl. I didn't date in high school, not for lack of wanting to. Barely dated in college, not for lack of wanting to. And after graduating undergrad with a Bachelor of Science in environmental biology from Humboldt State, go Lumberjacks, I moved back down to San Francisco because honestly, like, I had a really great education there, but it was small town. Yeah. And it's also way Northern California where I didn't, as a woman of color, always feel comfortable. Right. Way up north. The next town over had Confederate flags.
Right.
Flying.
It's hella white.
Yeah, flying. I knew that.
Scary white.
Yeah, I knew that going up there.
Yeah.
It was, I think, at that time the least diverse school out of all the UCs and CSUs when I went up there in '95.
I could see that.
And back then there was, if you needed whatever your college supplies or dorm supplies, you went to Costco or you went to Kmart. There was no Target, and there was a Kmart over in the next town, and I didn't like to go there by myself after dark, honestly. And so,
and for the natives, they're like, that's choice.
Yeah. And so by the time, most of my friends graduated a little bit earlier than I did, so I was like, forget, I'm out of here. Mm-hmm. I'm totally out of here. I'm going to go back down in San Francisco.
What year was that?
That was, I actually pulled a little UC CSU trick where you can visit any other college in the system that will accept you for one semester.
Wait, crossover? Like if you're at a UC, you can go to
yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, as long as the program will accept you and have room for you, you can visit another college for one semester.
For credit.
And knowing that I still wanted my degree from Humboldt, but wanted to get the F out of Humboldt, I strategically made it so that my visiting semester was my last semester. So smart. I did my last semester at San Francisco State, but still got my degree from Humboldt State.
Go Gators.
And so I left on a very icy and rare for up there snowy day on this Christmas Eve, 1998. Okay. And then did a spring semester at San Francisco State starting January 99, and then I was done.
So it's just side note, when you graduated, sure. Did you where did you walk and where?
Oh, I walked.
You go back there?
I walked way earlier with my friends, thinking that I actually thought I only needed to do one more semester, winter semester, the winter of '98. But I actually had a few more classes, so I actually walked. Technically, I walked a year early with my best friend. Nice. And other friends. And so that was the thing. It was like they all took off and abandoned me, and I was like, fuck this. I'm not staying here. I need to go back to the city because I'm done. Senioritis set in, and I was just done with living in a small town where I can't even
brown people.
Yeah, I can't even find ingredients to make my adobo. What the hell? No. So So yeah, I moved to San Francisco. One more semester left, knowing exactly what I wanted to do. Right after I graduated from another one of those friends that took off and ditched me. She did like an AmeriCorps program and was working with salmon and is like a total bio nerd. I was like, that's fucking rad. Like, how do I do that? I'm not into salmon, but like, that's fucking rad.
There's issues with salmon, as I've learned from hanging out with American Indians.
Yeah. And so I knew I wanted to do some AmeriCorps program doing stuff with wetlands like as soon as I graduated. Mm-hmm. And it kind of took me a while to find, and I almost moved to upstate New York. I almost moved to Atlanta, but I was very lucky in the summer of '99, trying to keep myself out of trouble, decided to go volunteer over here at the Golden Gate National Recreation Area, showed up to the native plant nursery just to volunteer. And when I showed up to volunteer, there was all these like cool looking folks, including POCs, wearing AmeriCorps sweatshirts. I was like, how do I get your job?
Yeah.
Like, let me know right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I had a job within like 2 weeks
nice.
of that. So
with the Park Service or
I got the AmeriCorps. Well, yeah, I mean basically I was on the AmeriCorps crew of San Francisco Conservation Corps, and our mentors were either Presidio Trust or Park Service or Parks Conservancy, but somewhere in the GGNRA. And so then I didn't have to leave San Francisco either. In fact, I got free housing in the Presidio, and I had a view of the Golden Gate Bridge out my bedroom window.
Now I hate you.
I had to share a room.
That's amazing.
And so that was included in my AmeriCorps.
That's amazing.
Job.
So now you're like, I live here.
Yeah, I live here. I live here. I got free housing. I don't have I love learning, but I don't like school. Gotta admit it. Yeah. Sorry, professors. Don't like school.
Things.
Don't like homework.
Learning and school are different.
Well, I like a job where like your job's done, so no homework. So you're not like, okay, I still gotta do work when I get home.
Yeah.
So there's 20 of us, and most of us have just graduated college from all over the place. And we're all living, most of us, 16 out of 20 of us, are living for free in dorms in the Presidio. We're all off work. What are we going to do? But, just, go do San Francisco things. And we're broke. So I had done another semester just for funsies, a summer semester at San Francisco State while I was an undergrad. And that was just just a couple of classes. So that didn't count as my visiting, semester. And I was living with my cousin. I'm like, how else am I going to entertain myself? I had the worst job I ever had, working in a restaurant, bussing tables at a restaurant in Stonestown, which shall remain nameless. Corporate.
It's a chain.
A chain restaurant. I don't even know. I couldn't
frozen stuff.
Yeah, I couldn't find a job doing in my whatever. I had done a lot of jobs working Parks and Rec, and for whatever reason, I guess I wasn't good enough to get hired by Parks and Rec in San Francisco. Yeah. So that summer at least. So I was living with my cousin, had a job bussing tables. That made me guaranteed I would never work in a restaurant again.
Right.
And how else am I going to entertain myself? And that was, y'all, back in the day. No internet. No
internet.
Tubes.
Very
only government. I remember actually maybe the year just prior to that or so, or maybe even just 2 years prior to that, I had to get the department head of a department at the school I was going to at the time to sign off for me to get an email address.
Right.
Yeah, I remember that. So, yeah, there was no internets to date, and that was back when there was the Guardian and the Weekly around San Francisco, and they had the back pages, which y'all know what the back pages are like now. But back then, that was like, there was no OkCupid, there was no Bumble, there was no Tinder, there was like not even MySpace,
Right.
not even Friendster. So I decided I would entertain myself by putting an ad in the paper, which was free, and you get all of like less than the 180 characters or whatever for your ad. And then if somebody was interested in your little short ad, they would call for, I think it was $1.99 for the first minute, 99 cents for every minute
Was
after
it
that.
an 888 number? Do you remember?
I don't know. It's probably the same prefix as now as it was then.
Right.
And so if somebody was interested in your short little ad, then they would call your voicemail box, and then they would leave a message and say something about themselves and give their phone number and a call back, and then you would decide whether you want to call them back or not.
So did you get any messages?
Yeah, so I got messages. Nobody that I really, was super interested in, but I made some cool friends that I hung out with throughout the summer, including one guy who's which I don't know at the time, like the first guy I dated that I knew of that said, and by the way, I'm a cross-dresser. I think he said that on his first message. I was like, cool, I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
And one guy who was a really nerdy South Asian guy, but he had really good taste in music. So he introduced me to some bands that became my favorite. That was back when y'all old punk rockers from around San Francisco back in the day, that would have been, 1996.
Okay, wow.
That would have been 1996. And like you went to the info record shop over in the Mission. That was like up this like narrow stairs. I can't, I'm blanking on the name right now. I'm so sorry. I'm blanking on the name right now. But
not Aquarius.
Yeah. No, not Aquarius.
Okay.
No. Oh gosh, I'm blanking. Anyways, so he introduced me some bands that I ended up liking. And the only other date that was memorable to me was an older guy who said like, hey, do you want to go for a ride across to Marin? I was like, sure. In my convertible Mercedes. I was like, sure. And to this day, that's still the only ride I've ever been in across the Golden Gate Bridge and a convertible.
Oh my
was
God.
with that one date.
And it was actually harmless?
Totally harmless.
It sounds like such like a movie setup, and
No,
you die.
Well,
I can confirm that Myla is alive, but
well, it was
like,
it's one of those things where you try the best you can.
Sure.
Like even back then, you knew to like meet in a public place, and you try to get a feel for if they're like the stranger,
legit,
like a serial killer or not, by their voicemail. And once they leave you a voicemail, you decide to call them back. You have a conversation for a while about whatever, as you do. And yeah, he seemed like, and he made it very clear that there was like no, he didn't expect anything other than to have a nice afternoon, and he wanted to drive his car around with the top down. That was super fun.
It's legit.
I wasn't into him, but that was still like a super fun date for like the shy girl who like barely dated in high school, barely dated in college. Humboldt was a small school. Like most of the kids up there were pretty hippy dippy, and also most of them were from Orange County. Sorry, Orange County. But it was those weren't like my type of guy or girl or G or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, I left Humboldt without like a whole lot of experience. But that was actually like before I graduated from Humboldt. So that was like my first experience with that way back then. So then the internet did eventually like come along, and that's when you started getting onto Craigslist to start dating, and then you really wanted to like meet in a public place. And back then, like, it was hella hard to even try to send a photo. Like that was like
I don't even think they had
super
photos.
high tech.
Like originally, they didn't, probably just emails where you'd have
There
to
was
like
emails, but I think that you still could have maybe not that early days, but you probably could. No, there was no photos. Later along, maybe like 4 or 5 years later, you could figure out how to send an email and like attach a photo.
Right. Or just put photos straight into the Craigslist post.
Yeah, but you really had to like suss it out and meet in a public place and try to, make sure people weren't kind of crazy.
Also, without pictures, it forced us to be maybe better and more thoughtful writers.
Yes, writers,
like
and
with your
right and thoughtful phone conversations. You might have more than one phone conversation before you meet.
Right.
And there was no IMing, so you weren't IMing, messengering, like Snapchatting each other like back and forth. You weren't. So like it was an effort to go decide to meet somebody. It wasn't what I know, especially a lot of folks who are out there like really trying right now, like really kind of like throw away, and like folks are just like waiting for like the next better person to swipe or whatever,
right.
which is like hard. I'm technically single right now. Like, it's hard.
Yeah.
And
so you got your Craigslist ad. Did you put up? Okay.
Yeah, I did that. And there was, not really a whole lot memorable from then, except to like tell my friends from back home who were not like super adventurous, and like maybe even one of my best girlfriends she might even like been married by that point, like mid 2000s, that like it was a way for me to just practice dating, because I never really did it, and I was that like shy kid like came up like really often.
Well, it's easier and cheaper than like I don't even know a generation before that where people were like going out to do essentially the same thing. Like, I'm gonna go to this shitty bar or this shitty club, this shitty restaurant or whatever, to just randomly meet people, which is actually kind of charming in a way.
Yeah.
But this was like you could just stay home and you're still kind of throwing yourself out there.
Yeah. So, and like along the way, like refining your ad and for me at the time, and really not that much different than now, like I still totally think of myself as a punk rock kid, and then I realized like I don't like look like a punk rock kid anymore. So yeah, I don't even remember if I had any like boyfriends from anybody I met on Craigslist. Well, maybe one, but that was so short-lived. I broke up with him. That was so short-lived. I never used MySpace or Friendster for dating. No, it was like Craigslist pretty much, and then some of the like specific dating sites started coming along that were free. One of the early ones that I will tell you, and I don't even. I think it was a girlfriend that convinced me to check it out. Maybe.
Okay.
And Hot or Not. Do you remember Hot or Not?
I do.
Yeah, Hot or Not.
I mean, in a weird way, I feel like that kind of
that was like
the
pre-Tinder.
Stone Age. That was exactly
Stone Age Tinder.
The Stone Age of swiping.
Yeah, and
we didn't have swipe, but it was like just boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, but it was free. And it made me feel a little bit shallow just based on the whole premise, but it was free, and it was a way to see people's photos first, because that was something I did learn from Craigslist. Was you would make this connection, you'd be like, we're into the same bands, we want to do the same stuff, like, and I'm trying to tell myself like I'm not shallow or whatever, and then you meet up with the person and like, okay, like there's a lot of things that I feel like I'm not shallow about, like height, but I I'm 5'2", so don't try to tell me you're over 5'2" when you're not. Because if you show up and you're shorter than me, then starting off with a lie. I'm not a big fan of that. So anyways, but that was something I learned from all those blind dates when there was no such thing as pictures, you know? So I'm like, okay, let me try this. It's free. Yeah, I guess it is Stone Age Tinder. And I think I only ever really met one guy from that.
From Hot or Not.
From Hot or Not. Surprisingly, I didn't think I would, but whatever. I was bored. I'm gonna, I'm doing okay at my job. I'm making enough money to pay my rent. So yeah, what am I gonna do with my free time? I'm single. I'm, want to have somebody to do stuff with.
Storied San Francisco is on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. All episodes are up on our website, storiedsf.com. Subscribe to the podcast on Google Play, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and iTunes. Another way to reach us is by email, which is storiedsf@gmail.com. Music for the podcast is by Otis McDonald, a.k.a. Joe Bagale. Film photography is by Michelle Kilfeather. Thanks for listening. Check back Thursday for part 2.